Hi, class. My name is Nicole Williams, and I am currently doing my bachelor's degree in human services with a focus of addiction and substance abuse. The movie I chose to present on was Krisha. Krisha is in her 60s and struggles with alcohol, but also struggles with pills. She had a little lockbox that she kept all her pills in. Toward the end of the movie, she started snorting them, but the majority of the problem seems to be the alcohol. When Krisha came home for Thanksgiving dinner, the family was very welcoming. It was a big family of about 15, I think I counted. And although everyone was welcoming, she seemed to be very stressed and overwhelmed and almost out of breath. Um, I'm sure coming home after going to treatment or trying to get sober was an overwhelming event, especially seeing the family after some time and not talking to them. Her sister Robin, it come at toward the end, her sister Robin says how she loves her so much and she wanted her to come, but it was almost like Robin was convincing the family that everything was going to be okay. And toward the end of the movie, everything was not okay, and Krisha ended up sneaking a bottle and getting really drunk. The family ends up noticing that she is drunk because she drops the whole turkey onto the floor. Um, One of the boys had found the wine bottle in her room. Um, sh- that is when her sister Robin asked her if she had been drinking because they found the bottle in her room, to which she replied, "No, that's not mine." Her sister Robin then questions her and is like, "What do you mean it's not yours? It was in your bathroom." And she tried to blame Doyle, who is Robin's husband. Robin and or Doyle and Krisha seem to be having a difficult relationship. Doyle's not super happy, it seems, in his marriage, but he tells her in the beginning of the movie that you are a heartbreak incarnate, lady. You are a leaver. You are an abandoner. I'm sorry that there is a certain amount of harshness. If you think you can just pop in and pop out of people's lives like this, you are mal-informed. So he was super angry. And then when this incident happened with the turkey and Krisha's trying to blame it on Doyle. Well, it must be his bottle. It must be his bottle. So, obviously, addiction is kind of something that this family has been dealing with particularly two members. Krisha talks to Doyle about working on being a more spiritual person. This family seems to not all be on the same page, as although in the beginning of the movie it looks like everybody's happy to see her, but really in reality, toward the end, you come to find that everyone was pretty stressed about Krisha's arrival. One of the family members' names was Trey, and he is technically Krisha's son, but Robin has been raising Trey as her own son because Krisha was so in and out of her life. When Krisha comes back for the Thanksgiving dinner, she tries to make amends with Trey, which he seems really distant and really wants honestly nothing to do with her. But he also doesn't know that Krisha is his real mother. And this ends up coming out when she becomes intoxicated toward the end of the movie, which creates even more tension. So, with that being said, one of the therapeutic models that I think would be helpful is the structural family counseling. This brings some kind of structure to the chaos of the family. And I don't think a lot of all 15 members of the family should be involved. A couple of the characters that I think definitely should be involved is Doyle, the sister, Trey. Um, those seem to be the main people in this. I also think at some point Krisha should have a one on one with her mother because that also seems to be a part of her using and the flashbacks and such. My goal for this family would try to be getting on the same page and also having the family understand Krisha as an addict. It seems as though Doyle has been present in the family's lives, but also is struggling in the same type of manner, but just hasn't gotten help or distanced himself. So my goal as a therapist is to establish a trusting relationship um, where the family wants to work with me, right? So I'm gonna have an open and honest session, and I want everybody to feel heard. Um, I would use Carl Rogers techniques as far as empathy, unconditional positive regard, and congruence. So the goal is to everybody to be on the same page, and this will not happen over just a session or two, but trying to understand one another and where everyone's coming from, and creating that open space for people to be honest and express their feelings. Also going over Krisha's triggers and what leads her to the drinking is, and in the beginning I had mentioned that she seemed really overwhelmed and almost out of breath, and I can identify with those feelings as going home over Christmas break and just feeling like this overwhelmed of emotion, especially in my first year of recovery. So identified with Krisha, and as far as my therapist part of things, I want her to talk about her triggers. And if she can't identify her triggers, maybe we can do some one-on-one therapy of like targeting what is it that makes her want to drink. So I also want, Robin and Doyle and Trey, her son, now that he knows that he's her son, I'm sure that's going to create even more animosity and hatred for a while. So, working through that relationship, Robin has been the mother figure, although Krisha had delivered him. Robin has been the number one mother, and she's been there from the get go. So, create letting Krisha be able to process her emotions of not being present. I mean, he's like 17 or 18 years old now. Like, he's going into college and working on a degree. And Krisha's going to have to come to some acceptance of that she wasn't present, but also try to bond with the family. Another one of the things is the barriers that is going to be is that if Krisha can't stay sober. So if Krisha is unable to stay sober, it's going to make this counseling not be productive. So, Krisha needs support from her family. She needs to probably go to AA meetings, and I would help her find those resources. Um, but I want to make sure that everyone in the room, it's not all about Krisha, right? Because the whole family has been struggling, right? They didn't want her to come back for Thanksgiving break. She came back. Robin gave her that chance, and Robin and Krisha have that one-on-one talk of like, I love you, but and you can just tell it's eating Robin up. I mean, she's completely distraught and at wit's end with Krisha's behavior, and so is the rest of the family. Yet they welcomed her. So they do have love for Krisha, which is a good thing, and they were willing to give her another chance. But one of those barriers that I talked about is just if Krisha isn't able to stay sober. So, my goal is to actively listen. I want to make sure everyone feels heard. I want to make sure that family members aren't talking over one another. Um, Doyle seems to need one on one therapy, it seems. I know with structural family counseling, we're going to kind of, work individually with the people and then work as a group. But another one of the therapeutic styles that I was thinking that would work is the CBT therapy, so cognitive behavioral therapy. If we start changing our outlook on the way that we look at addicts or alcoholics or whatever the case is, we can have a therapeutic approach that is has that empathetic ability, and where if the family members understand Krisha or Doyle, um, I know this is more about Krisha, but if the family members can understand addiction as a whole, that will be able to change, how they think about things, which will change their behavior and maybe not be so dismissive or push the family members who are struggling away. Helping the family understand the negatives and the positives of these therapeutic styles, and having them try to come together as one. I know CBT therapy is a little bit shorter. I think that would just be part of what I would use with the structural family counseling, because if we can't change our outlook on something, how are we going to be change our behavior about how we see the family members? So this is just a short presentation, so I'm going to leave it with that. I really enjoyed the movie Krisha. I would recommend looking into it. I think it shows, the progression of how fast a family can decline when it comes to adding addiction to the family. And there's a lot that goes into this, and the structural family counseling will take a couple months to go through the process, but I do think there is hope for Krisha and her family. So with that, I'll close. Thank you for watching. Again, my name's Nicole Williams.